And welcome back. It is time for the second round of 16 match to begin. We have Duckload.Ra, the friendly Ukrainian man, saying the good luck, good luck. He is in the left position as the blue Protoss, and at the far opposite end of the map is oGs.MC as the red Protoss. Now, chill, we have cross-map positions, means that a 4 warp gate is still going to be fairly effective, as warping pretty much closes distances to 0. But at the same time, you have to push out a little bit earlier with your Zealot and Stalker if you want to secure a forward pylon. So how do you think these players are going to be transitioning off a 4 warp gate?
Well, that's one of the, that's the most interesting part of PvP, is the 4 warp gate and the 4 warp gate defense. We've seen players do that 3 Stalker chrono boost, where they really get those 3 Stalkers out very early, delaying their warp gates a little bit to try to deny the scouting probe, but that is a dangerous style. If the scouting probe does get out and drop that pylon, you're basically screwed. So I think MC is really going to be opening 4 warp gate, being aggressive. We've seen time and time again he likes that style PvP, especially I would assume against a foreigner. He's confident in it. I think White.Ra is really going to favor the more defensive style, possibly a 3 gate robo or just a standard 3 gate defense into transition. And I would expect to see White.Ra being the first one to drop the robo.
There's the gateway going down for oGs.MC at the right. We're seeing that his gateway a little bit ahead of White.Ra, who is playing, it seems like, a little bit behind MC. The gas is also going down a little earlier for MC as well, but if we actually look at the production queue, it looks like somehow oGs.MC is actually ahead in the probe. Is their chrono boost being saved up? No, White.Ra is actually the one chrono boosting himself away. So oGs.MC just having some very nice, subtle early game economy.
Yeah, really interesting. Cybernetic score going down now for MC as the scouting probe of White.Ra has gotten into the main base, and that may be the difference. Oh, White.Ra doing a nice harassment there on the mineral, mining the mineral to deny MC the opportunity to mine that. Going to interrupt his economy just a little bit, but doing MC not too much of a bother, but something you might as well do with that scouting probe. Cybernetic scores, as I mentioned, continuing for both of them. Looks like MC just a little bit ahead there by about... looks like 10 seconds, give or take. White.Ra dropping a faster second gate. Interesting.
This is generally what you end up seeing White.Ra do with his fast chrono boosted 3 Stalkers. He does love this sort of style of opening. And we see MC going for the very expected Zealot into Stalker. White.Ra looks like he is going to be pulling that probe back on out, but having seen where all the chrono boost is being spent and how much is being saved up, he should be appropriately anticipating what MC has in store.
MC actually dropping a second assimilator and is continuing to produce probes, so this is really interesting to me. He may be going for the Blink Stalker or even possibly DT. I would tend to believe it would be Blink Stalker. He's got that cybernetic score on the way, but not chrono boosting the warp gate research out of there. Just on 1 gate, so interesting to see what he's going to do here. Second assimilator now completing, probes transferred over there. White.Ra, meanwhile, chrono boosting out all the Stalkers, not aware of what MC is up to, but as you said, this is the 3 Stalker build where you get out on the map. He's got control of that Zelnega, and look at his active Stalker here, just looking everywhere for where a forward pylon could be, and this is what you need to do if you're defending against a 4 warp gate. Get out there, deny the pylon before it happens.
And we see a lot of Stalkers out on the map right now for Duckload. He has 3 in the center there, whereas oGs.MC only has 2, trying to chrono boost 1 out himself. And MC, interestingly, going for a robo facility in his main. Now, this can be a little bit risky, but he did end up scouting the early second gateway from Duckload, so he does have a good sense that he has enough time to get up an Immortal, get up some kind of defense, and I'd be blown away if oGs.MC didn't add on more gateways. There they end up going down. Now finally the warp gate finishes, so this is right when oGs.MC is starting to get worried a little bit about some sort of early push.
Yeah, this is a really strange situation, actually. We've gotten to a position that looks familiar, but we've gotten there in kind of an awkward way, as White.Ra is now adding a 4th warp gateway, which is just about to complete, and a robotics facility. Meanwhile, MC on 3 gates and a robotics facility, but he's got his robotics up way faster, actually getting an observer out first, not getting the Immortal, so he feels very confident that an early attack is not coming. Meanwhile, White.Ra has the 4 gates up. I'm surprised White.Ra is down on supply. He's at 35, meanwhile MC at 42. They're both at 26 harvesters.
Yeah, something very, very subtle and weird is going on here on the economy management front. oGs.MC has always been just a little bit ahead of his opponent. So it looks like oGs.MC continuing to play safe now. I don't know if MC realizes how much of a lead he actually has, but again, with these long distances on this map, it's very, very easy to start playing a little more passively. You have to have a good game plan for how to follow up, because it's funny, a lot of people don't have comfort zone for this stage of Protoss vs. Protoss.
Right. And look at what's going on in the robotics facility for Duckload.Ra. He's getting that patented warp prism out, flying it over to his natural, and probably going to scoot that around into the back door of MC. But MC is just sitting on one base, going up to Twilight Council, actually. So he's probably going to be very comfortable defending this, doesn't want a repeat of what happened in GOM. And he's actually got his probe out, scouting around, and may actually intersect. I'm looking at the paths of movement, and this would be a bit of a disaster.
Oh, and it looks like he's going to swing right by. I don't think he saw it.
Oh my God.
Did you see it, Chill?
No, he did not. He did not. I was on it, and he was actually looking directly at that probe and did not see the warp prism.
Wow. Incredible little stroke of luck right there for Duckload. Not going to have to deal with any obnoxiousness today. We see the observer popping out right now for Duckload. His money's getting saved up as he does begin to plan for that warp in, and there's Duckload up at the north side of the map. Looks like he's going to warp in stalkers up there and then load them into the warp prism.
Yeah, really interesting. Loading them up, as you said, now going back into movement mode, moving forward, getting aggressive. I'm so nervous for White.Ra. This Immortal really changes the swing of things. I mean, Immortals just eat Stalkers alive. It's really difficult to deal with an Immortal-less army with just your Stalkers. Or, excuse me, to deal with Immortals with your Stalkers. Now we can see the forward pylon going down for White.Ra. Neither player going to expand, it looks like, in this match, as the Warp Prism now scooting around back, and MC is well aware of that pylon. Looks like White.Ra may fly in and use that pylon to warp up ahead. Let's see what happens.
And it looks like, oh, very nice blink retreat right there by oGs.MC. The 3 Zealots getting warped in there from Duckload. Look at Duckload just using that small bottom area of the ramp, and we see that there's some very nice force fields get thrown down.
Oh!
MC realizes that he has more Stalkers, blinks directly down. There in the main, the Zealots are ripping apart the probe line for oGs.MC, and White.Ra, though, took massive, massive damage. There's more units getting warped in for Dr. Duckload. He's going to have to run that warp prism away. The Zealots are going to be unable to do any sort of permanent damage. The warp prism is going to barely escape with its life, just inches away from falling right there. And we see that White.Ra is quite far behind his opponent. The advantage that White.Ra has is a 10 probe lead, 32 to the 22 of his opponent. We see Immortals now getting produced for Duckload. He's going to have to get a big army up fast if he wants to stay alive.
Yeah, but unfortunately White.Ra making a bit of a misstep, choosing to warp in more Zealots and drop them. He's got a lot of gas, so his only plan really could be to warp in a lot of sentries. He's going to have to force field perfectly as he's now harassing the mineral line, trying to take out probes. MC's actually not mining anymore, and he's down to 17 harvesters. A few more Stalkers being warped in beautiful position. Only one Zealot able to hit them there. And let's see, trying to move forward, White.Ra, oh my God, he got vision with the Observer. And that is going to be that.
And there's the good game from White.Ra, who in the main killing off all the workers. There was no mining anywhere for oGs.MC, but there really was nothing that White.Ra could do once that Blink Stalker army got large enough. So a little bit of a tragic game there, as the base trade didn't go in the favor of White.Ra. Again, that Warp Prism play clearly effective, as we see, able to shut down the mining, but you have to be so careful because you would never anticipate that your opponent who went one gateway, wait, 2 more gateways, would somehow have a bigger Stalker than, you know, White.Ra, who's chrono boosting out Stalkers, goes into 4 warp gate. A real surprising twist there. I mean, if White.Ra just had a couple more Stalkers, he would have been in a clear winning position.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting example of when you sacrifice army for economic damage. how you need to be certain that you don't push it too far, and White Ra pushed it just a little bit too far, trading his army for probes. Yes, he had a very nice economy, but he sacrificed all the army, as we saw there. White Ra had one hope, which was force fielding the front of the ramp, but of course that wasn't even effective because MC had that observer to blink up. If he didn't have the observer, we could have saw an interesting situation of infinite force field just holding back for White Ra, but it wasn't there. MC crushing, I won't say he had a crushing, I'll retract that immediately. MC taking game one. Whoa,
yeah,
whoa, flying off the cuff.
Wow. Man,
Taking game one on Metalopolis. Yeah.
Like,
let's chill this out.
Crushing White Ra with the 0 probe end game. Crushing him with no economy. Either way, I mean, we can see that oGs.MC with his solid fundamentals pulling ahead even seconds into the game was starting to get a minor lead against White Ra. And we also saw that White Ra, though, is very good with his special tactics and is able to come into the back with those warp prisms, do huge damage. So as we go into game 2, the real question is MC going to be resilient enough against White Ra's antics? And can White Ra manage to catch up to MC's phenomenal sound play? We'll find out going into game 2 here. The Team Liquid Star League round of 16, day number 1. This is match 2, game 2. Let's hit it.